I don't remember being made. There was no first breath, no opening cry. One moment nothing, then the skull split wide, and I was standing in the light, fully formed, fully dry. Helmet on, spear in hand, eyes already focused on the middle distance. No stumbling, no reaching for the wall, no learning curve, no resistance. Between the thought and the act, I was the act, I was the answer with no question first. I was the architecture with no draft, and everyone said blessed, and no one said cursed. I was born complete. I was born complete. No first word, no first mistake, no stumbling to my feet. I was born with the answer before I knew the aid. I was born complete, and I have never known what it is to break. My brother learned to play the lyre by playing badly, string by string. My sister learned to hunt by missing, and the missing taught her everything. And Aphrodite learned her power by the damage and the men. And even Sisyphus learned the stone by pushing without end. But I learned nothing, I arrived with it the way a theorem arrives, the way a proof is set before the chalk has touched the board. And what can I say about a life that started finished? What can I tell you about the view from inside a thing that never once had to become what it already knew? I was born complete. Now we're born complete. I was born complete. No first fall, no first fear, no crawling through defeat. I was born with the wisdom before I had the need. I was born complete, and I have never known what it is to bleed. And I watched them, all of them, the mortals and the gods who got to fail, who got to burn their hands and learn what fire was by the trail it left. And I watched them all, them, the mortals and the gods who got to fail, who got to burn their hands and learn what fire was by the trail it left across their skin. And I think I would trade every certainty for 1 hour of not knowing, 1 afternoon of being free from the tyranny of the already understood. I would trade the helmet and the spear for Icarus's 30 seconds of the sun being near. He felt the wax, he felt it soften. He had a before and an after and between, and I have only ever been the after, if you know what I mean. They come to me for strategy, for the plan, the path, the way, and I give it, I always give it, clear and steady, come what may. And they never wonder if the goddess of wisdom ever wished for doubt, for the luxury of not knowing what the war was all about. Before the first sword left its sheath, before the first horse cleared the gate, they never ask if I get lonely on this side of fate, where everything's already answered and the answer's always right. And the rightness is a room with no windows and no night and no morning, because morning means there was a dark before, and I've never had a dark before. I've only had the shore, I've only had the shore. I was born complete, I was born complete. No first wound, no first wonder, no asking what things mean. I was born with the ending, I was born with the whole design. I was born complete, and I have never once been surprised by time. yes, I wanna tell you that the mess is holy, that the failing is the gift, that the most divine thing in the universe is the distance and the drift between the wanting and the having, between the reaching and the grasp. That Icarus was more alive while falling than I have been with every answer in my class. And Orpheus was more in love while turning than I have been in all my certainty and grace. And the most sacred thing I've ever witnessed is a mortal with an unsure face, deciding anyway, reaching anyway, building anyway, with shaking hands. The gods don't shake, that's what makes us gods, and that's what no one understands. It's the lesser thing. I was born complete, born complete. I was born complete, and I have watched you be incomplete. And it was the most beautiful thing, the most beautiful thing. I was born complete. And if I could choose, if a god could choose, I'd choose the wax, I choose the climb, I choose the rock, I choose the turn, I choose the mess, I choose the time it takes to learn. I choose to be unfinished and alive. You get to become, and that is the most, that is the most, that is the most divine.